You know this book. Chances are you've held it, you've read it, or you've had it read to you. But what if I told you that behind this simple story of a caterpillar eating his way through the week, there's a much bigger story, one about war, artistic rebellion, and a really profound message of hope?
So that's really the big question, right? How does a simple book with some holes punched in it become this absolute global phenomenon? Well, its journey is just a masterclass in design, storytelling, and the power of personal history.
And I mean, this isn't some relic of the past. Get this, even today, a copy of The Very Hungry Caterpillar sells somewhere in the world about every 50 seconds. That's just an incredible, enduring legacy. So what is the secret sauce? What makes it so special?
Okay, so the first piece of the puzzle is its design. This book is, and I'm not exaggerating, a perfect little machine for learning. It's not just a cute story, it's an entire early childhood curriculum cleverly disguised as a picture book.
I mean, just think about everything that's packed in here. It seamlessly teaches kids how to count, it teaches them the days of the week, you get the basics of metamorphosis, the life cycle of a butterfly, and there's even a gentle little lesson on nutrition in there. It's basically a Trojan horse for education, sneaking all these foundational lessons into a story that kids just adore.
And what about those famous holes? They are not just some gimmick. As the literary expert Leonard Marcus points out, they're actually a narrative device. They're an invitation for the child to physically get involved, to poke their little finger through and become the caterpillar. So the book isn't just being read, it's being performed.
And that was 100% intentional. The author, Eric Carle, he wanted to bridge that gap between home and school, between play and learning. As he put it himself, he created a toy you can read.
But here's the thing, this perfect fusion of a toy and a book, it almost didn't happen. The story that we all know and love was actually born from a complete accident and one really crucial piece of feedback.
Believe it or not, the whole idea didn't start with a caterpillar, or even a story at all. It started with Eric Carle just messing around with a hole puncher. He punched a bunch of holes in a stack of paper and it made him think of a bookworm eating its way through the pages.
So his first draft was actually called A Week with Willy the Worm, and it was a completely different vibe. Instead of being a hopeful story about growth, it was more of a cautionary tale about greed, and it ended with a fat, miserable worm. It was missing the one ingredient that would make the final book a classic: hope.
Now this is where everything changed. His editor, Anne Benedus, she gently suggested that, a worm wasn't a super likable main character. And then she said, how about a caterpillar? For Carle, that was it. He had this instant butterfly epiphany. That one word, butterfly, it changed the entire story from a tale of gluttony into this beautiful metaphor for transformation.
And that theme of transformation, well, it comes from somewhere much deeper and way more personal. To really understand the vibrant, joyful colors of this book, you first have to understand the trauma and the darkness that shaped its creator.
You see, Eric Carle lived two completely different childhoods. His early years in Syracuse, New York, were full of light, color, and creative freedom. But when his family moved back to Germany in 1935, his world turned gray. It became grim, strict, and oppressive under the Nazi regime.
And this wasn't just, a feeling of oppression. This was real. As a teenager, he was actually conscripted into forced labor. He had to dig defensive trenches for the German army. Just imagine that, a brutal, formative experience for a kid.
And that experience created a direct connection in his mind. Carlyle himself said that being surrounded by all that drab, colorless earth in the trenches is what gave him his intense, lifelong love of color. His art literally became a psychological response to that trauma, a way to reclaim joy from a world of gray.
But even in that darkness, there was this incredible moment of resistance. His art teacher, a man named Herr Krauss, did something incredibly brave. He secretly showed the young Carle reproductions of what the Nazis called degenerate art, modern, expressionist art that was forbidden. Seeing the work of artists like Picasso and Klee for the first time, it was a complete revelation that planted the seeds for his entire artistic future.
And you can totally see this when you look at his work. His unique style is this perfect fusion of those two worlds. The emotional, vibrant freedom of the German expressionists he was shown in secret, mixed with the clean, disciplined clarity he later learned as a graphic designer in New York.
So you take that deep personal history, you fuse it with that brilliant interactive design, and that's what gives this book its incredible staying power. But that doesn't mean it's gotten away without a few critics.
Okay, let's talk about the big one.
I'm sure you've heard this before, right? The famous scientific mistake. So the critique is technically correct. A butterfly emerges from a chrysalis, not a cocoon. Cocoons are for moths. So why would Eric Carle, a guy who loved nature, get something so basic wrong?
Well, the truth is, he didn't get it wrong at all. He knew the difference perfectly well. But for him, the word cocoon just felt better. It was softer, more poetic, a word from his childhood. He made a conscious choice to put emotional truth over scientific fact, and his explanation was perfect. Poetry won over science.
And honestly, that choice has been proven right time and time again. The book isn't a science textbook, it's a work of art, and it's been celebrated as exactly that, winning major awards from the most respected literary and design institutions in the world. Ultimately, this is why the caterpillar flies. This quote from Carlyle himself just gets right to the heart of it all. The book is an affirmation, a promise to every small child who feels insignificant, that they can grow, that they can change, and that they too can unfold their own wings and fly out into the world.
It's just such a profound message hidden inside this incredibly simple story about a hungry little insect. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are the other simple stories in our own lives that are holding on to a much bigger, much more powerful meaning?